another episode of Over the Boards. I'm host Haley Parker, and I'm here with the head coach of the IcePack, Tim Healy. Over the Boards is brought to you by Moe's, so if you want to give them a call at 919-999-399 or visit their website at 919.catering.moes.com. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing great, Haley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Glad that we have this good setup here this week.
Yeah, Internet Moe's is much better than isolation room that I was in the last time we spoke. So happy to be here.
Yes, me too. Well, got a lot to cover, so we'll jump right into it. I just wanted to start off with the two games against Coastal. So last time where we left off, I kind of asked you about how y'all felt about going into that game, and you said that you knew Coastal was ready to come out to play and that they had a really strong goalie. But the IcePack did end up winning both games, 14-0 and 11-1. The first game, Griffin Burke had 3 goals, and Alex Vendetta had 2, and it was their senior night, so I know that was really exciting for them. And with that many goals being scored the first game, I know that Wade Minter really needed to take a break from all of that talking. But going into the second game, it was a little bit of a tighter contest for Coastal. They stepped up their defense in the beginning, but the goals kept coming. So there was also guys like Colby Peterson and Matt Miller who contributed to the offense as a whole. So what were your takeaways from these two games against Coastal, and whether it was guys coming in, assisting or scoring or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, well, first off, credit to Coastal for taking on the challenge of coming up. Their coach, Grant Williams, wants to build that program. And the way to do it is, play teams that might be above your level now, but you'll get there if you keep playing them. So credit to Grant and bringing Coastal up here. As for my thoughts on our team, I think the biggest thing for me was, we spoke about a lot that week, was not taking them lightly. We'd seen a couple upsets in the lead up to it. Lindenwood, who's been top 5 all year, had gotten upset by a winless Maryville. And an Ocean out of hockey. Like, any team can beat anyone on any given day. So I was really proud of the way that the guys came out, took on the challenge of making Coastal play up to us instead of us playing down to them. And because of that, we're able to, skate 4 lines all weekend, get guys on the boards for senior night like Griffin Burke, Griffin Burke has actually had a career's worth of points against Coastal Carolina in 3 games. His elite prospects page is completely out of whack just on Coastal Carolina alone. So happy for him, happy for the other seniors. But it also showed we were getting some balanced scoring throughout the weekend, which is something we've struggled with this year, quite frankly. So it's good to see some balanced scoring over the course of that weekend.
Right, absolutely. So the next 2 games that you guys had were against Gulf Coast, and it was only about a month, I think, in between when you guys went down to Florida for those 2 games, and they came up here to Raleigh. Obviously, the IcePack has what it takes to beat Florida Gulf Coast. I mean, they did it once, but unfortunately, both games ended this time with a score of 3-1 and 6-2. So is there anything that you thought was just missing that particular weekend against Florida Gulf Coast from the IcePack, or do you think that they're really just that strong defensively to keep the IcePack from scoring?
Well, first you really had to bring those 2 games up, huh? No,
I was just going back a little bit.
So, first of all, credit to Florida Gulf Coast. I think they're an improved team over when we saw them about a month ago. Particularly credit to their goaltender. I think in the Friday night game, they outshot them like 15 or 16-5 in the first period, and actually going through the handshake line after that game. I said to him, you won, even though it was a 1-1 tie after the first period, you won your team that game in the first period, because that could have been 4-0 easily. We were flying. The next night was actually, in a lot of ways, it was almost the same game in that we ended the first period up 2-0.
Yeah.
And just came out with such great intensity again. I think the biggest takeaway is to play that caliber of team. We really have to figure out and get to the point in terms of conditioning, mental toughness, how to play the way we need to play for 3 periods. We want to play up tempo, we want to play in your face, and that takes a lot of energy to do. If you think about like the great Devils teams, it doesn't really take a lot of energy for them to win a cup in the style of play. It was meticulous detail. We have to thrive off energy to come out, be in your face. Not that details aren't important, because they are, but just the style of what we need to play to be successful it's hard to maintain that for 3 periods, and we have to get to that point, and that's what those Gulf Coast games showed us.
Absolutely. Next, I thought that it was almost just as important to talk about qualifying for the national tournament. So the ACHA Men's D2 tournament begins on April 15th, and with the top 5 national ranking, the Ice Pack obviously qualified. So what kind of preparation do you think is important as a coach to implement with, less than a month before you guys head to the tournament?
Yeah, I think 2 things. First, officially we aren't in yet, but with where our ranking is, we've met the games minimum, which is a challenge in itself in the year of COVID.
Yes.
So I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud of the guys. The fact that we've played every game that's been on our schedule. Knock on wood, we're yet to have any, and hopefully we don't, any transmission from player to player. I think that's really a great accomplishment and a testament to the guys in of itself, especially after coming back from Florida the first time. As we look to nationals, the first thing is we can't overlook likely Virginia Tech or Elon this weekend in the ACCHL finals. And I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But one, not overlook them because it's a trophy game and you have to take a certain type of mentality to it. And that can help you prepare for what are essentially 5 trophy games at nationals. When you get to nationals, you have to win 5 games in 6 days. It's no small feat. So one, take the month to get our conditioning right. When we went 2 years ago, spring break happening between Liberty and going to nationals did not help our conditioning.
Right.
This year, there is no spring break. So I think guys, they might not want that, but as a coach, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So we really talked about a commitment to a higher level of conditioning and accountability with the guys in that. So I think that's number one, is take the month to get physically fit for the way you can do it. Would I like to be playing games? Yes. But on the flip side, it also means we're going to avoid injuries too, right? So we have the opportunity to go in healthy. We have the opportunity to go into a high level of conditioning because you don't have to worry about game day recovery in the same way on a Thursday night practice when you have a game the next day.
Absolutely.
And it's nice to know that that's already secured so we can start planning for it in other ways too.
Yeah. What's it like being able to coach a team that's kind of already been in this situation before? Does it kind of make it easier on your side of things as far as like knowing what to expect and what can go into like such a big tournament?
Absolutely. I think 2 years ago, I don't want to say we were flying by the seat of our pants, but, we walked off the ice after upsetting Liberty, and Dave Kurtz, the tournament chairman, comes up to us, and former NCC coach actually comes up to us like, okay, you need to get your hotels picked, you need to do this, you need to do that. And we're like, we didn't even know any of this type of stuff existed.
Yeah.
So this time around, to be able to be out ahead of that a month, know what things expect, thinking about how we set up our practices and our practice schedule to it. For example, we normally practice on Tuesday nights. We're going to practice Monday night before we fly out on Wednesday. So it's an earlier flight, so our guys are in bed early on Tuesday night to get that sleep pattern going. So there's little things like that I think will go a long way with it and help. I mean, experience matters a lot. Teams that win these things sometimes can just, be young and dumb and not know that they're in the situation and kind of roll through it. You think about Butler making the finals in basketball about 10 years ago as an example of that. Or you can be in a team that draws off their experience of coming up short and finally getting over the hurdle. And that's kind of the team that we fall into, right? Like we had the experience. We came up short a couple times in regionals last year and nationals the year before, but almost all of our team has experienced this now, so we know what we need to do going into it. It makes it easier as a coach because they know the expectation more.
Absolutely, yeah. So speaking of nationals, fundraising is a big part of just even getting there. So the tournament is held in Bismarck, North Dakota, which will obviously require flying and a lot of other fundraising and money that you guys just need. So do you mind just like telling people how they can help with fundraising, what needs to be paid for, because it's a big trip just to get there.
It is a big trip because you're out there actually. The goal is to be there for a week.
Yeah.
And, Bismarck I'm looking forward to it. University of Mary's doing a great job of being the on-site host. Excited for, what their coach has already done and put out. So credit to them for stepping up. But it's, you still have to get to Bismarck, and there's not as many flights going in and out. We're actually splitting up over 2 planes because we're actually filling up 1 plane with 25, and then 7 have to go on over 2 different airlines. I haven't told the guys who's connecting through Minneapolis and who's connecting through Denver yet, so that's a big difference. But fundraising-wise, yeah, it is a big task. We, last year this time, before the world shut down, and certainly before we'd expect it to drag on this long, we really changed and thought a lot about our funding because we had 2 weeks to raise money for nationals last time. So we wanted to begin to put together a fund to cover these things in the off season. We launched the Ice Pack Club, and we launched the some sponsorships with the goal of being $20,000 in fundraising that would cover and meet most of a nationals trip. And if we didn't go, it would roll and it would build a bigger fund that would help us really create a better player experience, like how we eat on the road, nutrition, stuff like that, to treat them like the student athletes they are. And so we met that goal this year. However, we had no fans at our games, and we're one of the fortunate teams that normally ticket revenue on game day is a huge income for us. Not a lot of club teams can say that. And so moving into a new arena, 1,600 people, we felt really good about the economics of being able to really build our cash reserve for a trip like this. Unfortunately, no fans all year, which meant no fan revenue, which meant that Ice Pack Club reserve money really needed to go pay for our home slots. So that has left us in the need to fundraise similar that we did 2 years ago to get to nationals. However, we have a month to do it this time instead of 2 weeks. And what we have to pay, we have to pay for airfare, we have to pay for hotels. Fortunately, the hotel is set up to supply breakfast, but obviously team dinner each night. It's not a Southwest city, so bags aren't flying free. So if you think about checking hockey bags, sticks, stuff like that, that's all an expense and ground transportation when you're there. So you're talking getting upwards of around $30,000 for a week for a traveling party of 32. So yeah, fundraising is really important this year. We switch our website, so we're actually able to take donations into our website this year as opposed to a GoFundMe, which helps us with what we actually are able to pull out of each dollar that comes in. So icepackhockey.com for anyone that wants to help us get to Bismarck.
Absolutely. I felt like that was really important, and I know that you guys got a lot of loyal fans that will hopefully take the time to contribute. But right now we're going to take a quick break, and we're actually going to hear from Una Rorick to give us a little background on some of the fundraising that people can help out with.
So with the fans, it sucks not having them here this year because they're an integral part to any time we have a home game. Their support and helping us get to nationals 2 years ago was just incredible, and how the community kind of rallied behind us and helped us get there. That was amazing. So if we could even have some semblance or replication of what happened 2 years ago this year, that'd be absolutely unreal. This year specifically, we have a really, really good shot to, find some success and have a shot at winning that national title. And the boys in the room believe we can do it. The coaches believe in us. Any support we can get would be amazing. You can donate at www.icepackhockey.com. This would help our team get to nationals, pay for flights, hotels, any transportation like buses and things like that. So we'd really appreciate your help in getting us there and helping us achieve our ultimate goal of winning that national championship. Thank you.
We build it, you demolish it. The legendary Homewrecker Burrito. Come build yours today with 20+ fresh ingredients.
First online order, 10% off. Promo code ONLINE.
Welcome back to this episode of Over the Boards. I'm Haley Parker here with Tim Healy of the Ice Pack, and we're going to get right back into some really important questions. Next, I want to talk about having fans back at the games. I know that it kind of came at a bad point with it being the end of the season for the most part as far as like home games. But with Ward Cooper having new rules for North Carolina, they could have 30% capacity indoors. So you guys got to have fans at the last Coastal game and then the last 2 Florida Gulf games, and I believe the tickets sold for, was it $10?
Yeah.
$10?
Yeah.
And they sold out really quickly, I mean, insanely fast. So what does it mean to you and the team to have fans that eager to come back to Ice Pack games, even though there were only 3 more home games left?
Yeah, so it came really late breaking for the Coastal game that we could have 50 people there. And so we, obviously it meant we could get all the players' parents in for senior night and stuff like that, which was great. We ended up having 5 extra tickets, and we put them into a raffle online at like 2 o'clock on that Friday, and it was great. They went quickly. And then for the FGCU games, by the time we covered family members, we were able to put out about 50 tickets for sale each game, and they went quickly online. And I think what was great about it for me was a lot of the people who snatched them up the fastest were like Kevin Heyer, who runs the Ice Pack Game Day account, Alex Garver, who's bought jerseys, some of these super fans of ours. They were able to get in to see a team that they support, and they supported even when they couldn't get in to see us. So it meant a lot to get them back in there, even if we came up short. And I know it meant a lot for our guys. We joked that 100 felt like 1,500.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is being in that facility with the ventilation, how they're able to spread out. Our fans did a great job wearing masks. So it's nice being in a facility that can support that as well.
Absolutely. I was going to ask do you think that having fans there has any effect on, the team? Because it has been a while since they've played with even people in the building watching.
Yeah, I think when we came out, it helped. It definitely gave them a little bit more juice. Certainly not as much as when we have 1,000 and you get the Wolf Pack chant going. I mean, think about that first period. If we'd gotten up 2-0 with all those fans there, I mean, that building would have been deafening. And it's a big building, but the ceiling isn't really crazy high, so it would have kept it's a loud building. Yeah. So that's going to be awesome when we get to that point. September 17th versus UNC. But who,
just put that out there.
Just put that out there. So, so we expect everyone there and expect it to be sold out that night.
I will be looking forward to that. I would love to be there if I had the chance to be. So next important is to talk about the ACC Tournament coming up this weekend in Winston-Salem. So the Ice Pack are the 2019, 2020, and 1 men's hockey ACC champions. So, they've got a little bit to live up to. What are you looking forward to seeing this weekend as far as the competition you guys will face?
I think familiar foes, too, whether it be Elon and their coach, Paul Patron, or Dave Sedley and Joey Mullen, the Virginia Tech side. It's been a year of unfamiliarity to us, and so it's going to be nice to see some old friends. Obviously don't know who will play it in the final, whether it be Elon or Tech. For them, it's a 1-weekend season. So they're going to lay everything out for it and give everything they got. And we expected both teams to be much improved this year and to be potentially challenges to begin with. And so they're going to be fresh. I mean, heck, they've had a whole year, so they should be really fresh. And give it everything they got because it's their one chance. We are at a point with the ACCHL where everyone wants to give us their best shot. And we look forward to it. And again, it'll feel a little bit different because it might not feel earned throughout the season in the same way, but if you're playing for a trophy, you're playing for a trophy.
Absolutely.
You do not want to end that game with someone else throwing their gloves, dogpiling, and lifting that cup and kissing it. A big goal for us that, and I know particularly Riley Johnson is he wants 4 rings in 4 years every year, and he's got 2, and we have that junior class halfway there. Yep. Let's get that freshman class halfway there. So it's still a big deal because next year we'll be back to normal, and you don't want to give this one away on a technicality and screws up the whole 4-year goal for them.
Right, absolutely. What will it mean to the team going into nationals if they did win the ACC tournament this weekend?
Well, I think, we also talk a lot about this within our program goal is number 1 is own the ACCHL, right? That's our conference. That's our goal. I've said this before, and I don't know if I've said it on here. I model us a lot like Gonzaga is in college basketball, and that is we may play in what's considered a mid-major conference, but go out and play the best non-conference schedule you can. You're going to see teams rise up in your own conference like St. Mary's has in the West Coast Conference. But Gonzaga always takes care of business at home. So even if their out-of-conference year isn't great, they're still getting into the postseason because they've owned their conference. So we expect to do that year in and year out. That's our goal.
That's a good. You have not mentioned that, so that's really important. Are you a Gonzaga fan for any reason, or you just?
Well, first of all, I went to a Jesuit college and taught at a couple Jesuit high schools, so a lot of respect for the Jesuits. And I know my dorm, my freshman year at Fairfield was Gonzaga, so maybe that plays into it too. So,
Interesting.
and actually, I taught at a school Gonzaga, DC. So yeah, so that one, but not that Gonzaga, not out in Spokane. So yeah, Gonzaga College High School in DC.
Interesting. So. Good stuff. Next, most important is the seniors. You guys have some really great guys, so I just wanted to list them off. You got Ian Rorick, Devin Halko, Griffin Burke, Alex Vedetta, and Cam Mazikowski. And obviously looking at this list, just thinking back, you've got some really good guys graduating. So what do you have to say about these guys and all that they've done for the team, both on and off the ice?
Yeah, and before we get into I don't want, some people know two others as seniors too. Eric Todd is doing a victory lap, coming back for a 5th year. So even though he's a senior, he's going to come, and Josh Cannon in that grad student role. But that group that you're actually talking about, I mean, their success, I think there's something around like 75-8 at this point.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. The fact that they're in single digits in losses, I mean, that's amazing. They're, 2 ACCHL titles, hopefully a 3rd, 1 nationals, 2 regionals. They're really a class that has helped change. It's been a culture-changing class. Whether it be Eric Todd's leadership, Cam on the blue line and his intensity. Even Griffin Burke as a 1-year guy, what he's meant in terms of. He wants to be a sports psychologist, so we've leaned on that this year. And then, you get into Alex Vedetta, which is a great story. Made it and then got cut and then came back and has been an impactful, and not just a guy that, was happy to be there. Sometimes we call them jacketeers, like they're just happy to get the jacket. He's not satisfied with that, right? Like he wants to be in the lineup and competing, and is playing the best hockey of his life. And then you get to that deep partnership of Devin Halko and Ian O'Rourke. Who are also 2 of the leaders off the ice in terms of club leadership roles. I don't think people necessarily know this because we haven't put it out there. But Ian, where he inherited the club, financially, trademarks, if you think about where we were a couple of years ago, we didn't have this logo. Eric Todd created that. Ian helped put it into play with places like the Red and White Shop. Devin is very, Devin's accounting. And so I know we're talking about off the ice stuff, but it's huge what those 2 have done off the ice too. And the footing that they've put on this club, it's pretty special. And obviously Ian and Devin have been a devastating partnership, deep pairing on the ice too for a couple of years now.
Yes. Well, I know that all of them will be missed, so hopefully they can make a good run this weekend and in the national tournament as well.
Absolutely.
I have a very important last thing to talk about. This big debate that I'm just so interested in between roast pork and Philly cheesesteak. So can you just give some background on this?
I think this is your boss's subtle dig at me for being a Flyers fan and him being a Devils fan. It actually started over pizza, which is, as half Italian from New York, is probably more my ballpark. And but I don't recognize roast pork as a competing sandwich for a good Philly cheesesteak. If you take a good Philly cheesesteak, I'm a Flyers fan, even though I'm not from Philly. Anyone with a Philadelphia tie, they have their favorite cheesesteak place. Mine's Tony Luke's over in Oregon, close to where the Flyers play. You can get it with any of the cheese, but get it with American cheese there. And if you had gotten a roast pork, you'll ask why did you even bother with a roast pork? Get a cheesesteak from a high-end place like Tony Luke's, and you won't regret it.
I heard that the bigger question was the cheese. So
it is the cheese. Sure that's the big separator.
Yeah.
Some people I don't. Some people like it. That comes if you can squirt it out of a thing. I'm not sure. Like Cheese Whiz. Provolone is good, but it doesn't melt as well. You get a good true American.
I'm a provolone gal. So
Provolone's great. I'm nothing against provolone, but it doesn't melt as well on a cheesesteak. You get a right you got to have that right grease melt consistency there to bring it all home. You're really happy you asked this question now.
Well, I was also told to get you on the pizza run, but I don't think I want to go
Next
there at this
episode.
point. Yes, next episode.
Stick with one name, first name places.
Okay.
You know, like a Mike's or a Frank's. That, you know, I worked for a place called Mario's in high school and college. Those are your safest bets.
Yeah, I'll take that advice in the future. Well, I'm glad that we got to end on such an important topic, but in all seriousness, thank you for taking the time to come and join me and give everyone a little inside scoop on some ice pack hockey.
Thanks, Haley, and go Pack.
Of course. Well, this has been another episode of Over the Boards. I'm Haley Parker with head coach Tim Healy. Reminder, we are sponsored by Moe's, so if you want to give them a call at 919-999-399 or visit their website at 919.catering.moes.com. We will see you guys next time.